Hit me with your best shot. Now this is a really cool power chord study, so we're just going to work through the basic introduction, this part. We're going to look at some new cool ways to play power chords. For example, when we play the E5 power chord, we're actually including the pinky. So we're using the D4 string for the root note, but we'll get to that later. And we're also going to add some cool passing notes, which I'll show you now. So before we start, please make sure you have the PDF file in front of you. We're going to start with the introduction, and we're going to zoom into our fretting hand. Now, before I show you this, there are two ways we can play it. We can play the E5 from here. This is fret number 7. So you can do like that, or you can go from fret number 2 on the D string. So you've got a choice. All on the same string, or I prefer this one because it's less hand movement, but for those that prefer fret 7, that's going to work just as well. Now, on the basic power chord shapes, they're called fifths, and we're starting with the E5 down here. This is the way I prefer it. Like I said, I don't mind if you do the other way. You're starting with your first finger on the 4th string, 2nd fret. Then your middle finger is not being used. Finger 3 is going to fret 4 on the 3rd string, and then the pinky, which is quite unusual for a power chord to be included, is going to be on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. So your notes are like that. For those that want to play it from fret 7, you can hear the same notes, same note, and your shape would look slightly different. My first finger is at fret 7 for the E5 played this way, and then you can use fingers 3 and 4 on the 9th fret, middle 2 strings. You can do it like that, or you can flatten the 3rd finger, or you can flatten the 4th finger. I don't mind which technique you use. There seems to be sort of like a fair distribution between the 3 different ways with my students. Okay, so you got your E. Like I said, I'm going to go down here. And the trick over here is to listen for the pauses between the chords. You can hear when I go from E to the A, there's a tiny little rest. In other words, a tiny pause, a silence. And to get that silence, I simply relax the pressure of this hand. So I'm strumming. And as I relax, it naturally silences the strings by themselves. And then my middle finger I use to touch that top string just in case there's a bit of noise. So if I accidentally strike that string, my middle finger number 2 will silence it for me. Okay, next chord up is A5. We're going to play an open A5, not the bar chord one over here, not fret 5 there. The open one just sounds better for the song, I think, personally. It's finger 1 on the 2nd fret on strings 4 and string 3. So I'm using one finger for both. You may use 1 and 2, but I wouldn't recommend this because that means your hand closes. So when you've got a wide open chord like that, in other words, you're stretching your chord, you're suddenly closing your hand, and then you have to reopen it for the C sharp coming up later. So try and get that first finger flat. It's a good technique. It'll help you with F sharp minors, F minors, basically all the minor chords. Study for another day. But here's our A, open 5th string, and then strings 4 and 3 fretted, fret 2. And if I put them together, you can notice my hand movement is minimal. And then on the strumming side, you're going to have your palm resting sort of quite close to your saddles. Those are called saddles on the electric guitar. If you're playing an acoustic, it'll be a white bridge. And you're resting your palm really close to it. So you're strumming from wrist. This is bad. That's your arm strumming. This is good. This is your wrist strumming. And for the E4 power chord, E5 power chord, you're going to strum from the 4th string. Then there's a quick pause we spoke about. And then you go to the 5th string. So you can see again if I go a bit closer, and you've got your first 2 chords. Okay, back to the fretting hand. Your next chord up, C sharp 5, C sharp power chord. you can go to fret number 4 on the 5th string, so finger 1, 4th fret, and then again, as we mentioned with the E power chord at the beginning, for the alternative way to play it, you can use fingers 3 and 4 like this. They're in fret number 6, middle 2 strings, or you can use your 3rd finger flat, or you can use your pinky flat. I like the pinky, it just works nice. My hand feels really comfortable. You can see there's no real strange finger movements or stretches or anything. So that's my favorite, but lots of guitarists prefer this and equally amount for that. Okay, if I put them all together, we're going to get this 1, 2, 3, 4, and I hope you're noticing that tiny silent pause between the strums. And we finish off with a B5, and this is quite cool because you take your C sharp you're playing now, fret 4, and you slide 2 frets down to the 2nd fret, and you've got B5. And there's your basic introduction. 1, 2, 3, 4, and at speed 1, 2, 3, 4, and the second time round they start off again and they go. And what's happening there, if you're looking at the top introduction, once you've done your E and your A, your C sharp's going to go B, A. So that C sharp, B, A, B, all double strums, all in a row, so there's no pause there. So the second part, and I hope you notice as well that there's not much hand movement going here. Your fingers are not going there, then there, then there, then there. They're very minimal, very similar chord shapes the whole way through. Now, I'd like us to play through together. I want you to notice that my strumming hand's got minimal movement. I'm not strumming with my arm, strumming from the wrist. You can see it's a wrist movement. Are we ready for this? 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's the introduction. When she goes to the verse, when she sings "You're a Real Tough Cookie," okay, we're going to look at these chords. I'm going to focus once more onto the fretting hand. Now for the verse, now I will play my E over here. So for the chorus and the intro, I played my E here because all the chords are nearby. But for this one, for the verse, she goes. So because of that movement, I find that to go a little bit more easier. But I don't mind if you go. But that's a big move. So I prefer verse from here, chorus from there. Same chords. Okay, here we go. It's going to go E5, 1, 2, and 3, and this note I'm playing here, on the tab it says D sharp. We're playing just the root note, because it sounds quite cool as a passing, but you may also do a power chord, so you can go. I'm happy with that. Take my fingers out the way so you can see the movement clearer. D sharp, C sharp, or you can do this. I actually like that single note because I can put a bit of vibrato, a bit of character onto it, hint of pinch harmonic. You can get a bit more sort of dynamic to it as well. So, suggestion, try the single note, try this. It sounds cool, but I'm happy with this too. Simple as that. That's the C sharp now that we also used for the introduction and for the chorus. And then after that, she jumps down to the A. And she goes A to B, and she just holds the B with a lot of palm damping. So to show you the palm damping, as mentioned with the palm damping, you've got your palm, the back part over here, this part I'm pointing at here, is really close to that. And it's actually sort of resting on the strings lightly, so you can hear my strings are slightly muffled. But we start with it nice and clear. So it's the E, there's the single note. Then use your C sharp. There's the A, which you can hear in the background. And when you get to the B, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and if we zoom out to show you both hands working together, we'd have something like this: 1, 2, 3, and 4, and And I want you to listen to the original because the guitarist doesn't keep it exactly the same the whole way through. So I'm not going to break down every single line and every single verse for what he's doing. I want you to be creative. Listen to the original, get to know the song. And you can hear that he sometimes puts little accents inside there, sometimes he doubles up a note. He has fun, he is probably spontaneously just playing as he goes, whatever feels good to him. So I want you to be able to do the same. Don't be bound or restricted rather by set rhythm patterns. You've got a guideline, keep the guideline accurate as best as possible, and then work around that guideline to be a bit creative, make it your own. Okay, I'm going to take it the whole way through the verse now. I'm going to want you to play along with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, and... Back to your verse again. And those are the two basic elements for Hit Me With Your Best Shot. Like I said, this is a power chord study, so we're not going to go into the solos and all the other cool things, but this will get you through to be able to play along with the song and sing along, and it's going to sound great. Hope you have an awesome week. Take care. Cheers.